So, anyways, I think we should cover this next week where we talk about how people are genuinely unhappy with the state of PvP with Star Citizen and how it's affecting like sandbox events. Because actually, I agree with them. It's ruining the fucking game. And maybe we could come up with like constructive points for that. What do you think? Yeah.
I thought we were just gonna review Amaranth stuff. I don't know.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
I,
Can we roll that back? My bad.
okay, my bad. Let me just. All
YouTube,
right,
just for
hold
the
on
YouTube
here.
video.
Here we go. And we're live.
Hello and welcome to Groupers Club. Tonight we're going to be discussing if PvP is actually the root cause of what's ruining Star Citizen's sandbox events. So with the recent addition of yet another marketing sandbox event, we're going to see the same conversations on Spectrum, the same conversations on like social media, and it's a bit different this time. It's actually kind of funny. But do you mind if we actually just start with the patch notes, Elder, for the Ivacati? So this
Sure.
brings up, this is Ivacati 4.2 PTU. This is changed since then. We have both versions for a reason. They have made some changes. So they are introducing, where's the new content? Features and gameplay. The Pharaoh Data Center, part 1 of new activity. They've added part 2 and 3, which includes the new Sandworm, which is pretty cool. Or the Valakar, I think it's what
Oh
it's called, right?
yes, something like that. What
The
planet is that
Valakar.
on? Or moon?
So it's you know what? I wish I had some like information about that. Let me see if I got that.
Woo!
Ooh,
No,
here we
Director
go.
Hawk. I was just doing the Ric Flair.
The Ric Flair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it
It's on
takes place
Pyro
on
1.
both
Okay. Oh,
Pyro
go ahead.
1 and Pyro 4.
Oh, okay.
So if
So I
you,
was oh, sorry.
yeah,
I was watching so Junior Killer, I don't know if you remember Junior Killer or not. I'm sure you do.
yeah, I
But
do.
he sent me a video of Salty Mike playing it and finding the worm at the end of his stream or whatever. And
Yeah. Did it send
it,
chills down your
okay,
spine?
I'm gonna
It's
say
cool.
it was pretty underwhelming.
Cinematic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but at the same time, I don't want to be super hypocritical of it. I mean, I don't want to be super critical of it because it's like it's the beginning stages of building it. You know what I mean? So I'm
yeah.
not I'm not going to talk smack about it. Like it's cool that it's coming along, I think. And it was also cool because it was like it was raining and I'm sitting here thinking I'm like, why the hell would
The
there
rain
be a
is.
sandworm in this rain? I'm like I'm so confused. I'm like, okay, this is obviously not Damer, right? So yeah, that's all I got. But it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and uh, I feel like the rain really added to the effect. You know.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, just saw like an announcement. I was looking at that.
Yeah, I could see you space out. You're like,
The atmosphere. The atmosphere is really cool. I will not deny that. The gameplay itself even looks
yeah,
kind of neat.
yeah,
I haven't watched too much. I've just seen some clips on like social medias, whether it be like YouTube or Twitter. Sometimes it's unavoidable. It's going to happen.
yeah,
And it looks like they're putting some really good effort into it. Like visually, it looks amazing. Performance wise, I don't know what it's like. I don't touch PTU because CIG is, well, Star is one of those games that doesn't really respect your time. So I'm gonna wait until it's live. So to avoid like burnout or anything like that. I've said that a few times, and that's why we're only reviewing some of the data, and then we'll have like a little bit of a reaction from potentially like a live release next week, right?
yeah.
So we'll see.
Hold on. I get the feeling that you were zoned out at the same post that I'm zoned out at right
Yeah.
now.
Yep,
Oh,
exact same
what?
one.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
let's not talk about
oh
it.
no. Anyway, it's like that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the data setters really cool. They look neat. It's composed of 3 parts, as far as I know. There's a whole breakdown on it. Actually, this is what we were looking at before. So it has the Pharaoh data centers, which are on Pyro 4, the Lazarus complexes, which are on Pyro 1, and then I think that's it. Actually, I think the third part is just facing the worm. And a lot of this is connected in. Okay, you know the whole thing with like lightning and how that affects ships, right? Like it'll
Yeah,
shut down a ship.
yeah. It would be kind of like an EMP, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they introduced that, and then they introduced believe it or not, a tram system similar to. Do you remember Siege of Orson when they had the tram that you could like go in and then you could just shoot someone as they're like coming in? It's just like you create this like artificial choke point. That's the next thing that's happening, right? So they have that, and then as far as I know, this is the interesting one. Uh, they added med beds to one of the last locations, and can you imagine the results? Do you have any ideas? Any predictions?
Well, that's not really fair because you already showed me the picture.
I did show you the picture.
Yeah.
This is the
And,
result,
and you were
and
so
honestly,
excited too.
I'm just saying, like it's a work of art. I'm actually kind of impressed with whoever put together this. Like maybe add some more like bodies right over here, kind of fill it out, but otherwise it looks good.
So what's the
So
issue?
this is what
Just bodies
happened.
and bodies
This
and
is
bodies. Yeah.
um so I'm all, this is what it says. I'm all for PvP, but not for ganking, spawn camping, and the stupid kill on site mentality. I got into wave one for the 4.2 PTU. I decided to give it a try and went to the new locations. All of them are locked down by Idrises and A1/A2 bombers. If you actually manage to make it to the ground, there is 20 plus people camping and waiting for you. There are medical beds at the new locations where you can set up your spawn. People did it and were spawn camped 24/7 without being able to change their spawn location. Yes, that is actually just in general bad design.
Yeah.
You know,
Obviously,
this
yeah,
is
that's bad design.
yeah. Like, why aren't these like the Siege of Orson, where it was only intended not for spawning, but for actually just healing? You know, like I get there's going to be radiation, there's going to be heat. You're going to have to like heal after being hit by the Valkyr like 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah.
But this is their solution, and guess what happened? They changed the
Um.
spawn timer. Let me
Wait,
find it.
what? Hold on.
Yeah, did you not hear about this? The spawn timer is 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds of like a pretty much like. Let me find it. All med beds will now protect players from damage for a small amount of time after respawning. 30 seconds or leaving the bed ends effect. That's their solution. So,
Invulnerability. I can't see anything going wrong with that.
of course not. Nobody like bugging out, being invincible the entire time, shooting everything they want, right?
Yeah.
That's never happened before.
No.
So this is
So
just
good. Problem solved.
it's a band-aid. It's a band-aid, right? I get
Yeah.
it. Like there's only so much you can do when you implement new systems. I don't know how long ago they had this, in production. My guess is well before the tier changes for health and the respawns, right? So maybe that's a result of that. I don't know. But that would just be my speculation on the fact. But yeah, it's just I don't know. You put like a spawn right at the like ground zero, this is going to be a result. This is
Tarantula. Yeah. Sorry.
what do you say?
Kind of. So it wasn't an issue before with someone boarding the carrack and killing them over and
Yep,
over. Yes and
it
no,
was indeed.
because basically what happened was they killed the person and take over the ship, and the person spawned. They gave him the ability. They said you can just leave and you know what I mean, reset your spawn or whatever. We'll let you do it, but they didn't
They
want
didn't.
to. Apparently, they just kept respawning themselves. So,
Mhm.
which to me sounds like somebody just being a poor sport. Like, no, I'm not giving up my ship. Like, just go and call a new one.
So
Relax.
somebody also like after the fact, this was like a false report. It wasn't the person that actually got like spawn camped that actually
No,
posted this
yeah.
on Reddit and then reported. It was
Hmm.
somebody else later down, from what I understood. But I mean, this is just bad design for I don't know gameplay. It says this is turning into 12-year-olds COD lobby instead of being the MMO or whatever the hell CIG are trying to make. Do they not understand MMO means multiple or massive multiplayer online? I mean, come on, let's be real.
Oh, 07 degenerates. Yeah, I
Wait, where
mean,
where did it say that?
yeah, chat.
MRE.
That's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a shit show worse than Hathor. The medbeds
Hathor, yep.
being there. Yeah, they need to get rid of those. Yeah.
Either get rid of it or make it so they're back to the tier that they're supposed to be. You know,
I mean,
that's what it should be.
realistically, it certainly isn't the MMO that initially I thought it was going to be. It's definitely turning into something I didn't think it was going to be. The first
Agreed.
surprising thing, and I'm not complaining about this, it's whatever, but the fact that they're gonna have like instance dungeons basically. That
Mhm.
was kind of surprising. Like a lot of people are for it. It's whatever. I'm not complaining about it. But it was surprising to me because one of the allures to the game, to me at least, was the fact that they were like, oh, it's going to be a persistent universe. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and it
it's
kind
not
of,
WoW.
yeah, that breaks that consistent universe idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
I don't know
Um,
why they don't add multiple choice spawn when you die, home station nearest. I feel like they don't even know how to do that. I
I
mean,
do
I
agree
don't
with
know.
that. Like,
Yeah,
why is that not an option? That should be a thing.
it should be.
It
Yeah,
was, I forget who it was, but somebody in one of our discords brought that up the other day, and I completely agree with them. Like,
it
there's,
doesn't.
it was Nightfo. It was Nightfo that brought that up.
I
You know?
always say I don't know a lot about programming, so I can't be like, oh, it should be an easy task. But I feel like it shouldn't be a difficult thing to do, right? Like you get
Right.
three options or something, and like even so. Because I mean, let's just look at it this way: the realism, the fact that the game is supposed to be some sort of like realistic game has already kind of gone out the window, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, that being said, they can't use the excuse of when you die, how you're gonna pick your spawn point, right? You're gonna, you know what I mean. So
Hmm.
they should have it set where it's like you select your three destinations that come up as options when you die,
Hmm.
maybe. You know, I think that would
That
be a
wouldn't
good
be the
idea.
worst idea. I
Yeah.
mean, at least as a temporary fix, because again, this is going to be a huge like issue. And I think it also
Probably
does
true.
like
Go ahead.
it does kind of boil down to planning ahead. What is going to
Hmm.
happen when you set your spawn there? At that point, is it your own responsibility for getting spawn camped? Probably. You know?
Why do I feel like there's a lack of forward thinking outside of just trying to make the game look realistic?
No
You
comment.
know, like yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying though?
You know
It's
my
like
opinions. Yeah.
yeah, but you get what I'm saying though for sure because it does feel like a lot of
There's
players
a
can look
disconnect.
at when they do something like this, right? A lot of players
Yep.
could look at it and be like, I could see this going wrong, I could see this going wrong, you know, etc. And I
Yep.
feel like they either don't understand it, they don't think about it, they just throw something out there and see what happens, you
Hmm.
know?
Agreed. So just so we're not getting too far off topic, the question that I actually have for you, Elder, and for everybody is why are PvPers more prone to crash the global sandbox events? That's kind of a topic for tonight too, just for kind of like a part one of like two in a series. Do you have any? I've actually got a whole list if you want to go through that, or if you want to like kind of tell me what you think.
So why is it that PvPs would be more apt to
Like
crash
why are crash the global
events?
sandbox events? Like why are we going to go to Hathor as opposed to like staying in Pyro?
Because there's nothing to do and there's no purpose to do anything.
Honest
Like,
fucking
yeah.
words.
Yeah, you know, it's not
I know
even
what you mean. Yeah.
um, you know, there's only so much like sitting around a station waiting to kill somebody I could do. You know,
Yeah.
like
I know what you mean. It's
there's I've been talking about this for how long now, and you and everyone, Virgil we had on here, we was talking about that, like
yep.
having like a reason to not, other than just saying we're fighting somebody, actually having a reason, right? Fight for resources, right? Fight for territory. And right now that none of that actually exists because the persistence of your character also doesn't exist. See, one of the things I feel is lacking is when I go into the oh, you're reading it all, aren't you, Ray?
Mhm.
I want to read it too. I'm dying to read it.
Read what?
Try to stay
Read
on
what?
topic. Oh, I thought you were reading the post. Um,
No, no, I was
I'm
bringing up
dying to read
the
it.
second one down here.
But
My bad, my bad. No,
so
you're
one
good.
of the, no,
I want to hear
it's
your
okay.
feedback.
So one of the things that feels for me that makes me feel disconnected is that when I go in, I can't even feel like I live in that verse because you know, outside the fact that now I'm not going to lose armor or weapon, but
Mhm.
because of the fact that like if I log out, I log back in, it's like nothing happened prior. Like there was
Yep.
nothing that actually happened. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like there's any like sure my rep was still there, but for what? You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like everything feels so, you know, whatever, in my opinion.
Pretty much
So
like vain and baseless. Like there's no reason to actually like continue with it for the most part, you know?
Yeah, it's just my character.
There's no purpose. Yeah.
I want to play. I see. I want to play as if I really live in this verse. As nerdy as that may sound, but I'm a nerd. I don't care.
Hey,
Um,
that's fun.
and I
I'm not
can't
gonna judge you.
feel like I am. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I feel disconnected from that verse.
Yeah. It does. I get exactly what you mean. Like I try to like play the game some days and just like turn off global chat and really get into it, and can't really because it's just so, I don't know. It's just so different than what it used to be. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even then before it had like all the like issues, sure, but I don't know. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
duplicated audio. Let me
You know
fix that.
what? So Star Citizen, Mr. E, AI is predictable. People are not. You know, you just made me think. I think that if we just take this out of Mr. Roberts' hands and hand it over to AI, I think the game will get completed within a year, at least.
Or hear me out. If like CIG actually just gave the players the resources that they need
Yeah.
to play the game and then just hands off, I kid you not, it would be the best fucking game ever.
Well, how
You
does
know?
everyone feel about the progress right now? What's going on? RP was my ultimate goal. RP, the badass pirate,
I saw
PvP
this guy like
murderer.
fucking doing a dating sim the other night, so he's got no base for
Yeah.
those
Evil
words.
evil bane on the universe seeking beautiful angel.
Yeah,
Anyway,
crafting and base building. Yeah,
we,
sorry. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
rabbit hole
Crafting a
done.
base building. Hey, what's
Yeah.
going on, Penguin?
So off topic. Sorry, we're gonna get back on topic. So why PvPers crash sandbox events? These are just a handful of, like reasons. Some I didn't list from the 388 like suggestions, but still that's fine. We want the new content too, right? Our objectives just look different.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, I want to. Yeah, but I also want to do. I actually want to do like solo.
Actually, check out the content.
Yeah, I like doing it. Like it's not like I don't play single player games. I mean, I haven't in a little bit, but it's not like I never
Hmm.
enjoyed them. You know what I mean? Or I don't enjoy the AI, the whatever, the PvE content. And the problem is
Yeah,
that it's like, everything's always broken, and it's, you know what I mean? So it's,
you get
it
into
doesn't all
like
sit, it doesn't fit together, you know?
you try to do something as simple as like an AI mercenary mission, and you have like AI running into the wall, or you can't reload your gun, or your med pen stuck in your hand. Just little things that take away from like the whole experience, more or less, right? I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. It's kind of hard
So,
to get
and
into
it's
it.
just too. I think it's a repetitive grind that just keeps me away from that. Like you do a bunker once, it's the same experience, and it's kind of the same issue with a lot of the sandbox events. Aside
Mhm.
from like maybe when they first introduced the contested zones, and how that was always fresh because it was PvP. With PvE, Hathor is going to be the same collective experience for the most part, right? It's going to be different because of some factors being, server performance or like players that you encounter or just things that happen individually per person, but still it's too predictable. I think once
Yeah.
you experience it, you don't really need to do it again,
Wait,
you know?
so hold on. Let's see. A base is coming soon. TM. Our ship habs don't even work yet. What do you mean by ship habs? Are you talking about the in the ships, the like beds and stuff?
Habitations
Because
for
that,
like ships inside. Yep.
yeah, there's zero survival resources in the game, which I wish there was.
I wish so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish I could get dropped off on a planet and figure out how to survive and make my way across a damn planet to maybe a remote base where somebody happens to land. That'd be
Hmm.
cool, and
Yeah.
actually survive off the resources of the land, but there's nothing there, you know?
Yeah. Agreed.
I play PvE a lot and it gets boring and repetitive. Yeah, it does. Ooh, ships for sale. Really?
Agreed.
Buy it. Tell me more.
Oh,
All right, continue.
sales
I'm
up.
sorry.
Yeah, be right back. That's okay. So along with those, like new locations, you have new tactics. You have choke points, which guarantee encounters, guarantees fights, and that is really like where the players are. That's where the PvPers are going to be. That's how it's
Mm,
always been. I mean, you look at like when Hathor dropped. How dead is Pyro right now?
yeah, there's no reason to be there, right?
And then as soon as this new patch drops, how active is Stanton going to be in comparison? Like just make that like contrast there. I think so. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Other things could be like value, whether it be in-game, hanger, rewards, whatever. Salt. I like salt, but loot's better sometimes, right? I mean, salt is pretty damn good lately. And then one that actually Riker suggested was org notoriety persists more than popularity, and that's why sometimes you'll see like PvP orgs hold down these locations. It's great for like recruitment, great for just getting in action, because
Yeah.
there's so many like platforms that we don't have that. Like you're not going to get that with a lot of just 1v1s in the verse or just small groups in like OMs. You're going to have like larger fleet battles at these like choke points, and that's why it has that allure. I think
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm done ranting about this. It's more or less there is still that lack of things to do, like you said, like that
Yeah.
lack of value, that lack of like intrigue to kind of keep you coming back. Like that gameplay, it just hasn't been there. It isn't there. But I don't know. The whole
Yeah.
idea of like these like theme parks bringing people back in, just it isn't enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The whole I get they kind of have to do like these events or whatever to promote like
For,
some
like funding.
activity and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for like where there's enough for it to just be organic in general. And I'm sure you will still have events, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know.
I know. I'm so
I
mixed
want to
on
see more
the whole thing.
substance.
Yeah. Like it
Realistically.
seems like like if this is not going to be just a one-time event like the supplier die, if it's a returning one, hey, that's cool. Or just always there like Hathor, hell yeah, let's go with that. Like that'd be great. I just don't know. Like we just don't know yet because CIG hasn't posted all this stuff publicly onto like forums for people to read, right? So that's why we're just covering what we know already because we don't want to theory craft.
Well, you need,
But hmm,
sorry. I was gonna say even if they do post something saying it, it's even somewhat feel uncomfortable in feeling confident that they'll actually follow through with that.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Hmm?
I mean, think about how dead Hathor is going to be once these new ones drop.
You know what?
And even yeah,
I'm really hopeful though that this may sound absolutely
in
ridiculous, but
content going forward. Okay.
yeah, but I am really hopeful that suddenly it's something they're gonna do is gonna pull it all together, and all of a sudden, yeah, never mind. It sounds crazy.
All the pieces all
It
together.
sounds so ridiculous
Let
because I've
me.
been hoping
Can
for
I?
that for
Can I grab
years.
some? Can I grab some tinfoil from my head really quick, and we can have this
Yeah,
conversation? I'll be right
I've
back.
literally been aging in front of you guys for this game. My
I'm
beard
kidding. I'm
wasn't this
kidding.
gray.
No. Um,
Anyway,
quick
I didn't
question
have to
though.
wear a hat. I don't think.
We're gonna kind of move on a little bit with the talk because we get an idea of like what PvPers want and all that. Next question I have is: do you have any predictions on how the community is going to receive 4.2's next Sandbox event, Stormbreaker? And do you mind if we go see some of the feedback from PTU on Spectrum?
Yeah, I'm interested.
I'm sure it's great.
What's like the main thing about 4.2?
The main thing is there's a big event going on with the Sandworms that's called Stormbreaker,
Oh, it's not the
but
rain.
we just I mean,
It's not
rain's part of it. Same with like
precipitation.
storms. I mean, along with that, did you know they're adding in tears and sweat? Finally,
Are they
so
really?
if your character
Wait,
has
you
like
messing
too
with me
much
right now?
pain, you'll cry. Yeah, of course I am.
Oh,
If you
okay.
get griefed enough,
If
you
you get
will
creeped
cry.
enough, you'll be tears. All right.
So here's one from Clyde. Thanks to all the griefers who think they're PvPers. Thanks to the PvPers who are preventing us from testing the new missions on the Lazarus stations. Your tireless efforts to ruin the game for others will be rewarded with a lousy live patch, since this way, no bugs in the missions can be found. I hope you go so overboard that CIG finally gives us a PvE/PvP slider. Look at this. Oh
I'm
my
just
god.
letting it be known that if that slider shows up, don't expect me to
Don't
ever come
expect me.
around again.
Same,
For
honestly.
me, that would be it. That would be that
That's
would be
that's
it.
that's a killer for me. I'd agree. Oh, this
I
is a
mean,
this is a good one.
salt
Here.
collecting multi tool. That's great. Go ahead.
You need salt collecting.
Multi tool,
Just
yeah, attachment.
it extracts the salt. Yeah. Here's a good one. PvP, the root of all evil in the verse and the community. Looks pretty good. Sorry, I can't read all of a sudden. We can skip that one. I can post these later in like one of the chats if you guys want.
God, these are endless. Like, my goodness.
They are. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of these because it would just be nothing but complaining the entire time. I'm alone at Path. I've been exploring it for a decent while. Found some nice components. Loaded up my Asgard. Got Polaris torped out from nowhere. Now there's a group of 10 people running around in a Polaris and fighters shooting anything on sight and telling the chat there's no threat. So this is
Okay.
one of the previous not
RP.
events, but,
What's
like,
the problem?
I mean, they're in character. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like get good if
Get
they
good.
were on the ground,
It's funny.
or it was 1v1 maybe. But a gang fest out of nowhere and then just harassment is not a fun experience. It's PvPVE, bro. You deserve prison, bro. Go serve your sentence, you murder hobo. There's a lot of salt here in chat. I'm gonna post these in the 388 salt chat a little bit later if someone doesn't also grab it. So there is also some like really good feedback on here too. There's some that actually is a little bit more constructive. This one is by Mr. Smash. It says, "Are people genuinely happy with the theme park direction of this game since 4.0? Contested zones were fine until you couldn't lose gear anymore. Now they just feel like an arena shooter with awkward spawn points. Delivering rocks for capital ships and armor that you get via a convoluted event instead of just buying them in game. Summoning worms instead of just finding them out in the wild with some sort of scanning gameplay. Commodity trading being
hold on.
absolutely gutted by cargo with literally no sign of them being fixed and everything else paying so you wouldn't have to do it so much." What were you going to say?
The whole summoning worms thing, I don't think that's because it makes me think of like Dune, how they have the thing that creates vibrations on the ground. Like you try to what's that?
They teased it at SitCon, where they had like ground vehicles would rumble the ground enough where it would summon the worm out, and that's how you would start attacking it.
That's not really all that shocking, that portion of it. Wait, scroll up a little bit for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Where do you want me to go back to? I'll just
I was just thinking about how he said with the contested zones, if the fact that nobody loses gear. That's a good point. I mean, I always jump on that one.
I do too.
Oh my goodness.
So some like really like good points. Is the snare ever going to be fixed? I've never wanted to play this game less. The rumors of instanced dungeon style gameplay, solo capitals for everyone.
It's not a rumor.
Inevitably just becoming an upgrade system. Yeah, it isn't.
I mean, that's not a rumor.
We don't know what it looks like yet.
They exactly said it though. I mean, they said that's what they're going to create. So yeah,
so
the game
has some like decent feedback, I think. You know.
Yeah. No, that's.
Do you think? Do you think it feels like a theme park some days? It feels like, honestly, what it reminds me of is some of the Sandbox events that'll happen, or Sandbox activities, whatever you want to call it, that happen in like Fallout 76, where you spawn out like a giant boss and then everybody shoots it and then you collect the loot after the fact. That's kind of what it feels like some days.
Yeah.
And just even the whole presentation is what it looks like sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
But again, that's with the lack. Oh God, it feels like an excuse, but it's the lack of the balance everybody's talking about right there.
Yep, agreed.
It's an incomplete game. So yeah, basically, it's all. But yeah, I mean, I do have concerns about that, right? Nobody losing armor. I still can't get over the idea, the fact that you'll have armor that's like locked and you have to like, what do they call that again? They have to like hack it open or something so you can wear it, and it removes the special skin on it, so it makes it purposeless to begin with. The whole thing, it's just
you don't get the cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like why would you go through all that trouble anyway if you're not going to get the armor you were trying to get?
There's no value at that point. Like the reason why you shot someone in the first place was because you wanted the really cool looking armor, not because you want the generic Temu version that you can get from like pretty much any basic location.
You know what I'm getting from this though? Like doing things like that, right? To try to appease those who actually spent real money to be able to get those pieces. It just tells me that they have no plans to not have this whole pledging system in place in the future. Like, I feel like they're fortifying it, if anything, which concerns me because this is, are they like, you know what? This is a model we can just stick with. We'll just keep selling things for real money.
Why would they change it if it's effective? That's the real question.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
look,
no
the age your sales from this last year. We talked about this last time, but yeah,
yeah, there's no encouragement
so
to yeah.
break away from it.
As long as it as chat works and I get the salt. Okay, I'm just reading random stuff now. Go ahead, please.
It's okay.
Player
Next
killing at
one says
PTU.
player killing at PTU. How ill are we players? We are at PTU and we are player killing. How ill is that? We should try to have the game being tested there and not to kill other testers. So why are there people killed by toxic players? It's a testing of the PvE environment and ships, not a contest where players kill other players. I mean, unless you're like an org that wants to be first and get like the first Valakar, like, summoning and ultimate rewards. I mean, it could be a contest. It's, again, based
Well,
on like what your objectives are as like a player. Everybody has their own viewpoint on that.
well, since it's a game function is killing other players, it's actually part of the testing. It's player to player interaction. No, sir. I mean, all
Hmm.
seriousness. I'm not saying that people aren't
Yeah.
going there just to be jackasses. Like I'm sure they are, but that like anything you're doing is part of the testing. You know, when people like mess with the
It really is.
mechanics
Yeah.
and they start like stacking bodies on top of the medical beds that you can roll around and they throw them off the side of a freaking ship. Like it's a ridiculous action, but it's still testing the mechanics of the game. You know, so
Did you
it's
see they
good.
actually fixed one of the like longest bugs that I've seen in the game? We could blow up
What the elevators?
the chargers. You could blow up the chargers and then put them in your backpack, drop it on the
Yeah,
ground, blow everybody up. They finally fixed that,
yeah, yeah,
so it's good. I mean, this is the only way. Like, the only way you're going to have balance is by testing both aspects of the game. PvP is the social side, especially. So you need to make sure that's functioning to a very like high degree for that matter. Because if there's no PvP balance, you're not going to have, aside from that, social balance and combat balance. That all comes into play, right?
yeah.
Um.
Jay Grizz, you're right. They should have
So.
made it a skin, 100%.
Mhm.
I don't know why they didn't sell skins because a lot of the armor was the same stuff anyway. They could have sold skins for the armor. You know what I mean? And then apply the skin to the armor. You
Yeah.
know,
Also,
but
this guy probably he should be in Evocati, so he can play the stuff without being shot. He'd be
yeah,
happy.
Evocati bans that.
They do, yeah.
Okay.
Here's another one. Actually, this is a great idea for 4.2. Can you guys make sure you do this, please? If you're, boycotting Pyro, do it right at 4.2. PvE players should boycott Pyro. A system without consequences is
Oh, this gets
unrealistic
so
and no fun.
old.
Even without police, it's the same dead argument that we've heard, or like the same like we're like beating the dead horse at this point. I feel like this is a conversation that resurfaces every 5 to 6 months, and
Yeah.
there's
What do
no
you? Why?
conclusion.
What? They're just mad
I
because
don't
the
know.
new system is exactly what they said it was going to be.
I know.
And
Doesn't make any sense.
it's actually not exactly what they said it was going to be because from my understanding it was supposed to be this depleted system and now there's I don't know, so the whole thing kind of got weird, but I mean as far as like the dangerous place it was supposed to be, like what do you
Hmm.
mean? How is it unrealistic? Like that's
Yeah.
the other thing. Can you imagine being able to lock down literally a whole universe? Like where there's no crimes anywhere. What do you mean that's unrealistic? You don't think there's going to be some far and few between where they just can't seem to get control of? You know what I mean? Like, it's like humans are money driven,
No.
right? A lot of humans are very money driven, right? And if there's
Hmm.
a system where there's no money to offer, there's no reason why, in this case, the UEE or whatever would go lock it down because it would be, if anything, a loss of money. They'll say, travel there at your own risk, pat you on your ass, good luck. You know,
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. That's not unrealistic.
So
That's
the thing with having the events in Pyro is people gotta understand that, hey, you don't even have player bounties, so it's a free for all. Whereas in Stanton, at least you have some balance now that they brought back in like player bounties and some crime when you can actually report the systems, right? When it actually works.
mm,
But I don't know. Whole thing's kind of a mess as far as I can see.
yeah,
Not a lot of like thought. I think the one or two events that I feel they did pretty well were the what was it called? The two before this. Supplier Cry was one of them, right? And then A Line and Wine, I think was the second, right?
a line in wine.
Yeah, Supply or Cry, I think was the best one though, personally.
Yeah,
Because that had like it had like really good gameplay for both sets of players. You know, you could do cargo if you really wanted to. There was still a risk, yes, but it wasn't as bad. Or if you wanted to like take that extra risk and get some PvP, you could go to Pyro and do the same thing. If they split it between the lawless and the like semi-lawful systems in that degree, I think it would work actually. You know,
Mm.
don't just bring it down to like one or two systems. Bring it down to like, you know, both Stanton, both Pyro, and then run them simultaneously. I don't know.
Um,
There's some feedback here. I know we're kind of getting to the end here. What were we gonna say?
no, yeah, I was just Director Hawk. Wasn't Pyro a mining system that's been depleted of its resources? Isn't that what it was supposed to be? I think that's what it was supposed to be. So,
So I'm not
and
Astropub. I wouldn't know.
which is, yeah, right. He's out there mining on the down low. Don't let him fool you. Yeah. So, I mean, that was
Falling
one of the
asleep.
things that got weird with Pyro. I'm
Things
sorry
blows
to
up because I'm like sleeping
sidetrack.
at the. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's just fine. Uh,
Uh, that
so there,
that
this is just like this is a really good thread about like feedback. He says first off, this event is a PvP focus event designed for squads where multiple players that have some PvE elements. There are
Wait, who
some
said that?
very intentional. This is Disonian was his
Oh,
name.
okay.
He
All
actually
right.
writes another really good thread about the problem with PvP in Star Citizen is that it's not good. You know, like it's not good PvP, it's just bad PvP, and he explains why. Maybe we review that some other time, but not tonight. Um, so the critical design issues have massive choke points in PvP, which can be a problem, especially with the shuttle exits, cycling airlocks, and just where you're going to see a lot of that like happen in the first place. We didn't learn from obviously Siege of Orson with PvP being a complaint, you know, and this is what you get. It is just this repeated conversation because CIG is not learning from previous, you know, mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Players need to be given better tools. Medbed and respawn points are a huge issue. Plus, stormbreakers and ships. I do agree with this. He's also saying that you know it's not just the actual um, medbeds on site. It's also in ships too. How they adjusted a lot of those systems and how you can spawn pretty much in like any kind of medical bed, right?
Hmm.
So some like really good points in this one. So I can post this like elsewhere, but it's again here's a good last one. Extraction really wasn't considered with this event. So they can get the stuff, but they really didn't think about how they're gonna pick up the teams, right? You can't even use, as far as I know, ground Vics because those will get struck by lightning. So it's not even a ground Vic heavy event, right? Where you could just spawn in like, you know, a couple of like tanks and then roll those on the surface. Because as far as I know, those get struck by lightning. Plus, the terrain is a little bit unruly, so there's no way you're going to get around that easily.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's content that favors groups, stuff like that. That's what he says. While clipping and doing things. Okay, so there's some like issues with the ICLI and shit like that. HRSM should probably not be able to 10 kilometers orbital strike the Apex Valkyr with the railgun and trivialize the event. So just weird things that are also these are just like things that add up with the game. So I don't know. That's just some of the feedback that I'm reading from PTU and just things
Wait a
that
minute.
I've
How
also been
big
hearing
was
in
the
conversation.
worm? Because it didn't look all that large when I saw.
It's pretty fucking big for scale. I mean, this is your person is going to be like I think about right there.
Really?
So it's massive. Yeah, it's a huge worm, but as far as I know, it's in a static location. It doesn't submerge and then pop up at a different location like
Oh
some
yeah.
NPCs
Okay.
might.
So the person is disappointed by that, but that's probably just because they're just introducing it. I doubt they want it to stay where it's in a static location.
I wonder if it's due to performance that they're not able to do that quite yet. But as
I
far
mean,
as I know, you can just
probably.
kill it with FPS weapons. That's how like I've heard that it's a really well executed like event. Like there's a lot of like good things. Like it's fun gameplay, but it's easy from what
Yeah.
I understand. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's part
They're
of the
they're a
like
long
success.
ways away from where they teased it on sitcon last year, I think it was, where like
Yep.
the people were driving around attracting it, and then they had all like there was all this stuff going on, and it's like Yeah, exactly. It's tier 0 worm, but so it's really
Yeah,
far from that. It's a very far from that.
I think so
Um,
too. Plus, it's a different variant from what they were saying with the regular Val cards, irradiated, whatever you might call it. But I don't know. It looks cool. I'll probably check it out with the 388, but I don't think I'll ever run it solo or try to infiltrate or try to do something like that with a different group.
will you ruin the event by PvPing? No comment.
We'll have fun. It'll be a good time. You know
Mm.
what? Here's my objective. I want to make a bigger pile of bodies than this. Okay,
I
that's
believe
my
it.
new goal.
He was so excited earlier when he was looking at this. He's like, hee hee hee. I'm like, just because he always
Hey,
flies
wait, wait,
around with
wait, wait, wait,
bodies on
wait.
his ship.
Listen. You were there for a line in mine, right? Or not a line in mine, supplier die, right? Where I had the
Yeah,
mantis and I couldn't see the MFDs because the bodies were like piled up at that point. I'm
yeah.
just
I
saying
mean, I'm
that's what
pretty
I want.
sure
That's
there's
my
somebody you can
that's
talk to
gameplay.
for help, though. I mean, I'm a little concerned. He,
Um, yeah. So how do you think this is prediction time? And this is kind of our closing question because we're kind of wrapping up here. How do you think Stormbreaker fares in comparison to the previous events that we have currently? And there's sandbox activities, not events. I should rename that. Any ideas?
what's better help? What
Mental
is
health.
it? Is oh
You can actually use our code or promo code for BetterHelp if you
yep.
have symptoms of. No, I'm just gonna stop right there. Um,
Symptoms of depression, anxiety.
yeah,
Are you having erectile dysfunction? Sorry.
yeah, this one.
Feel like that one really hit home. Sorry. No, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry. The way he looked
Yeah.
again.
So
Disapproving dad look from dead.
just like
Said
get the
dead
hell out of
dad
here.
look.
Why do I stick around here? You're the reason I drink. Cheers.
Nola needs it bad. I do. It's a cry for help, literally right now, right before your very eyes.
Okay. So back on topic. Sorry. Do you have any predictions? Do you think Stormbreaker is going to be better for like accomplishing PvP, like PvE balance in their content, or do you think it's going to be a shit show? I think it's going to be a shit show, and I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
it's gonna
it.
be a shit show. I mean, that's the default answer.
Mhm.
Oh, as
At
CIG going
least
to implement this A, B, and C, do you think it's going to go well?
at
No.
least in the early stages, it's going to be a shit show. And
Yeah.
then down the line, they'll, iron it out, get some hot fixes, change some things that are actually better. And then by then, no one's playing it. That's the issue with these. They're
Everyone's
like
bored with it.
abandoned amusement parks. That's all it is.
So
That's what might become. I don't know.
yeah, I think what's important here is that they have to slowly like build their oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? They got to like build their portfolio of things to do, right? They're
Different events.
slowly implementing more and more stuff, right? And they're gonna keep adding all this stuff, right? And it needs to all be in there working where we'll all be bored of it because we've been
Yeah.
watching it slowly implement. We'll all be bored with it. But then um whenever they actually release Squadron 42, that's when like all these new players should come in and see all this stuff, you know what I mean?
I hear.
So
I hear that's when they're gonna. I think Squadron 42 dropping is when River Grit is supposed to drop his next roast video. So a lot of things to look forward to there, right?
yeah, it's yeah, he I swear to god his timeline is like he's lined it up to run perfectly with CIG's promises, like his progression. He's right now he's working on his persistent shit talking streaming. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't I got nothing.
Was a-
With that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up there. Thank you everybody for joining us, and this episode will be available later this week. We'll have a part 2 for next week about kind of the results of what we see with the whole new sandbox activity, whatever we want to call it, right? and we will catch you guys then. Have a great week.
But first, are you having trouble sleeping at night? Are you feeling lonely? Have you been PvP too much? Well, BetterHelp has help for you.
You can use our code
1-800-GET griefed or get good. No.
listen, maybe I think hang on, I'll reach out to him next week. Okay, that's a great idea.
I think, yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm going to wake up tomorrow with
Let's
like
go.
people with a coat around me ready to freaking. All right. Anyway. Okay. You guys, you have a good night. Later, guys.
Have a good night, guys.